Ladies and gentlemen, life is full of surprises, some that lift us up and others that knock us down. But here's the truth. We all go through moments when things feel off track. We lose our way, we feel lost, or we get tangled in the chaos. But let me tell you something important. It's never too late to hit the reset button. Resetting is a powerful act. It's a choice, a conscious decision to hit the pause button and step away from the chaos that life sometimes throws at us. It's about acknowledging that at times we get lost in the process. We allow ourselves to be consumed by the weight of expectations, failures, and mistakes. And in those moments, we forget that we have the ability to begin again. Resetting is the permission we give ourselves to release the burden of past disappointments and mistakes and to open our hearts to the possibility of something new. Resetting isn't just a physical act, it's a mental and emotional one as well. It's the moment we choose to reset our mindset, to shift our focus away from the negative patterns that no longer serve us. We often get caught in cycles of regret, blaming ourselves for things we cannot change. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that our past defines us, that our past mistakes will follow us forever. But in reality, resetting is the key to unlocking a new perspective. It's about realizing that who we were yesterday does not have to determine who we are today. It's about forgiving ourselves, letting go of old wounds, and choosing to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. To reset is to release the emotional baggage that drags us down. It's easy to cling to past experiences, particularly the ones that caused us pain, but the truth is, holding on to these emotions only limits our ability to grow. We need to clear out the clutter of our minds and hearts to make space for new beginnings. Resetting means choosing to move beyond the hurt, the disappointments, and the feelings of inadequacy. It means shedding the layers of negativity and embracing a more positive and open mindset. This act of resetting isn't about forgetting the past, but rather about accepting it for what it was and choosing not to let it control our future. When we reset, we also reset our expectations. Sometimes we place unrealistic pressure on ourselves to be perfect, to never make mistakes, to always succeed. But this kind of thinking only leads to frustration and burnout. Resetting allows us to step away from the constant pressure and reset our standards to something more attainable. It's about giving ourselves permission to fail, to stumble, and to learn from those experiences. When we reset, we acknowledge that mistakes are a natural part of the journey and that they do not define our worth or our potential. Resetting is also an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves. In the hustle and bustle of life, we often lose sight of who we truly are. We get caught up in the demands of others, in the need to please, and in the pressure to succeed. But resetting allows us to step back, take a deep breath, and reconnect with our authentic selves. It's a chance to reflect on our values, our desires, and our goals. Resetting gives us the time and space to realign with what truly matters to us, to remind ourselves of our passions, and to rediscover what makes us feel alive. Moreover, resetting gives us the opportunity to reclaim our sense of control. Life can sometimes feel overwhelming, as if everything is happening to us instead of us actively participating in our own journey. But resetting puts the power back in our hands. It's a reminder that we have the ability to change direction, to make different choices, and to take charge of our lives. Resetting is about owning our decisions and realizing that we are not victims of circumstance, but active participants in shaping our future. In a world that constantly demands more of us, resetting is an act of self-care. It's a way to preserve our mental and emotional health, to prevent burnout, and to nurture our well-being. Resetting is not a sign of weakness, but of strength. Strength to admit that we need a break, that we need to recharge, and that we need to take time for ourselves. When we reset, we honor our own needs and prioritize our health. After reset, let's talk about restart. Restarting is an act of defiance against the inevitable setbacks that life throws our way. It is a refusal to remain stuck in the same place, a refusal to let the past define our future. When we restart, we choose not to be held back by failure, disappointment, or fear. Instead, we gather the strength to pick ourselves up and try again, knowing full well that our journey may not be smooth, but it will always be worth the effort. forward. To restart is to acknowledge that life is not linear and that it's okay to stumble along the way, but it's never okay to quit. Restarting is not about erasing the past or pretending the obstacles never existed. It's about accepting what's happened, learning from it, and moving forward with renewed clarity and determination. Every setback carries with it a lesson, something we can learn, something we can use to grow stronger. Restarting is an act of resilience. It is the ability to get back up, shake off the dust, and continue moving toward the goal, even when the journey feels uncertain. Life does not come with guarantees, but restarting gives us the opportunity to take control of our story. It says that we won't be defeated by our mistakes, our failures, or the world's expectations. When we restart, we also gain the power of perspective. Often we get caught up in a moment of failure, convinced that it's the end of the road. But the truth is, failure is not final unless we let it be. Restarting allows us to zoom out, to see the bigger picture, and to understand that no single setback defines us. It is a single chapter in an entire book. And just because one page was hard to get through doesn't mean the rest will be the same. Restarting lets us embrace the idea that there's always another chance, always another possibility waiting for us, if we are brave enough to pursue it. Restarting also brings us closer to who we are becoming. It is an opportunity to reevaluate our goals, to refine our intentions, and to get clear on what truly matters. Sometimes we get lost in the noise of external expectations, following paths that others set for us rather than the ones we genuinely want to take. When we restart, we have the chance to reconnect with our core values, to remind ourselves of what's important to us. It's a process of rediscovery, of realigning our purpose, and making sure that every step we take from that moment on is aligned with who we truly want to be. In restarting, there's also an element of courage. Courage to face the unknown, to face the fear of failure, and to face the vulnerability that comes with trying again. It is easy to stay in our comfort zones, to stick with what we know because it feels safe. But growth only happens when we step outside of that comfort, when we are brave enough to take risks, even if it means failing. Restarting is a declaration of our willingness to face challenges head on, to embrace uncertainty, and to step into the arena with confidence, knowing that we have the power to shape our outcome. Moreover, restarting gives us a renewed sense of hope. It tells us that we are not bound by the limitations we once thought we had. It's a reminder that with each new attempt, we get closer to the person we want to become. Restarting instills a sense of optimism, a belief that no matter how many times we fall, we will always have the opportunity to get up again and move forward. It's the hope that the best is still yet to come, that even when things don't go as planned, there's always the potential for something better if we have the courage to keep moving. Restarting also requires us to let go of perfection. So often we fear starting over because we don't want to make mistakes, we don't want to look like we failed. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion. It's the pursuit of an ideal that doesn't exist. Restarting frees us from the burden of perfectionism and invites us to approach life with a more flexible, compassionate mindset. It encourages us to take action without waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect conditions. Restarting allows us to embrace the process, to take one step at a time, and to know that every effort, no matter how small, is a step towards something greater. Refocusing is one of the most essential skills we can cultivate in our lives. It's not just about fixing our gaze on a particular goal or destination. It's about returning to our center, recalibrating our minds and hearts, and making sure that everything we do aligns with our true purpose. Life is filled with distractions, and it's so easy to get swept away by the noise. But refocusing is the act of cutting through that noise and remembering why we started in the first place. It's the conscious decision to turn our attention back to what truly matters and to tune out everything else that doesn't serve our vision. When we refocus, we are giving ourselves permission to block out the distractions that pull us in different directions. We live in an age where the world is always demanding our attention, whether it's the constant stream of notifications on our phones, the pressures of social media, or the voices of others telling us how we should be living our lives. These distractions distractions can dilute our energy, spread us thin, and make us lose sight of what we set out to achieve. Refocusing allows us to clear the clutter from our minds and find clarity in the chaos. It's about coming back to the core of our aspirations and saying, this is what I need to focus on right now. It's easy to get sidetracked by external expectations. People have opinions, ideas, and expectations about who we should be, how we should act, and where we should go. But the truth is, no one knows our path better than we do. Refocusing is about trusting ourselves, about tuning out the noise and listening to our own inner compass. It's about making sure that the choices we make, the goals we set, and the actions we take align with our authentic selves. When we refocus, we are saying to the world, I am the one in control of my destiny, and I will follow the path that feels true to me. Refocusing also means learning how to say no. We live in a society that glorifies being busy, and sometimes we find ourselves taking on too much, spreading ourselves too thin in an attempt to please others or keep up with external demands. But when we refocus, we start to realize that we can't do everything. In fact, doing everything often leads to doing nothing effectively. Refocusing teaches us that it's okay to prioritize, okay to say no to things that do not align with our vision and our goals. It's about being intentional with our time and energy and only investing in things that truly move us forward. Another key aspect of refocusing is acknowledging that our journey is not always linear. There will be times when we lose sight of our direction, when we feel like we're going off course, or when things don't go according to plan. But refocusing is the act of adjusting our sails, recalibrating and continuing forward. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Refocusing is the act of giving ourselves permission to veer off track, only to come back stronger and clearer than before. It's about understanding that life's detours are not failures, but simply opportunities to realign and try again. Refocusing requires a deep level of self-awareness. It's about being honest with ourselves and recognizing when we're not in alignment with our goals. Sometimes we get caught up in the hustle, in the urgency of achieving, and we forget to check in with our hearts and minds. Refocusing means taking a step back and asking, am I still on the right path? Is this what I really want? It's a moment of reflection, a time to reassess, and a chance to shift our direction if necessary. Refocusing is also about embracing the present moment. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become so focused on the future or consumed by the past that we forget to live in the now. Refocusing brings us back to the present, allowing us to fully immerse ourselves in the tasks at hand. It's about appreciating the journey, not just the destination. When we refocus, we remind ourselves that every moment is a valuable opportunity for growth and that the steps we take today are just as important as the goals we're working toward in the future. The power of refocusing lies in its ability to bring us back to what matters most. It's a constant reminder that we hold the power to shape our own reality, that we can choose where to place our energy, and that we can create a life that aligns with our deepest desires. Refocusing is not about ignoring the world around us. It's about filtering out the distractions and staying true to ourselves, our values, and our vision. In doing so, we create space for the things that truly deserve our attention and allow us to move forward with intention, purpose, and clarity. Growth is a fundamental part of life. It's something that is not only inevitable but essential for our survival. Whether we realize it or not, every moment of our lives is an opportunity for growth. It's in the way we learn from our experiences, the way we evolve after facing challenges, and the way we embrace change. Growth happens when we are pushed out of our comfort zones, when we are forced to adapt and find new ways to approach the world. And the truth is, we grow the most when we face adversity, when we come up against obstacles that seem insurmountable but end up being the very thing that strengthens us. Growth is not always easy, and It doesn't always feel good in the moment. It often requires us to let go of old habits, beliefs, and patterns of behavior that no longer serve us. It demands that we step into the unknown and take risks, even when the outcome is uncertain. But growth is about embracing discomfort. It's about pushing ourselves beyond what we thought was possible and learning from the process. Every setback, every failure, every moment of doubt is an opportunity for growth. These experiences shape us, teach us, and prepare us for the next challenge that lies ahead. In fact, growth is often most noticeable after we've been through something difficult, when we look back and realize that we are stronger, wiser, and more capable than we were before. One of the most important aspects of growth is the mindset we cultivate. It's about shifting our perspective from seeing challenges as roadblocks to viewing them as stepping stones. When we embrace a growth mindset, we stop seeing failure as something to fear and start seeing it as a valuable lesson. We understand that mistakes are not reflections of our inadequacy, but opportunities to learn, improve, and adapt. Growth comes from the willingness to embrace change, to remain open to new ideas, and to continuously strive for better. When we accept that we can always improve, that we are never truly finished learning, we open the door to endless possibilities. Growth is also about self-awareness. It's about taking the time to reflect on where we are and where we want to go. It's about understanding our strengths and weaknesses, acknowledging what's working in our lives and what isn't, and being honest about the changes we need to make. Self-awareness is the first step toward growth, because without it, we cannot know what areas of our lives need attention. It allows us to be intentional in our actions, to set goals that are aligned with our values, and to make decisions that will lead us in the direction we want to go. Growth is not random. It requires purpose and direction. Personal growth often requires us to step outside of our comfort zones. It's easy to stay in familiar territory, to continue doing what we know, because it feels safe and predictable. But real growth happens when we are willing to take risks, when we are willing to face the fear of the unknown. It's about being brave enough to try new things, to experiment, and to embrace the possibility of failure. Growth doesn't happen when we stay comfortable. It happens when we push ourselves to take that leap of faith, when we challenge ourselves to do things we never thought possible. It's about learning to trust ourselves, knowing that we have the strength to face whatever comes our way. Another key element of growth is patience. We live in a world that demands instant results, and it can be tempting to want quick fixes or immediate gratification. But growth is a slow process. It takes time, effort, and perseverance. It's about showing up every day, even when the results are not immediate, and trusting that each small step is bringing us closer to where we want to be. Patience is essential because it allows us to stay the course even when the journey feels long or when progress seems slow. It teaches us to celebrate the small victories, to appreciate the process, and to trust that every effort counts. Growth is also deeply connected to our relationships. As we grow, we learn how to connect more deeply with others, how to communicate more effectively, and how to build stronger, more meaningful connections. Our relationships are a reflection of our growth, and as we grow as individuals, we are able to bring more to those around us. Growth allows us to be more empathetic, more understanding, and more compassionate. It teaches us that we are all on this journey together, and that by growing together, we become stronger as a community. The people we surround ourselves with play an important role in our growth, and their support, encouragement, and feedback can help us move forward. Growth is not just about the individual. It's about the collective strength we build when we work together. Resilience is one of the most important qualities we can develop. It's the ability to bounce back from adversity, to endure hardship, and to keep moving forward despite the challenges that life throws at us. Resilience is what enables us to face difficult situations head on, without being consumed by them. It's the strength we summon when we feel like we have nothing left to give, yet somehow we find a way to keep going. going. Resilience is not a trait that we are born with. It is something we build over time through experience, determination, and the willingness to face life's difficulties with courage. Life is unpredictable, and it's often filled with setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected turns. Resilience doesn't mean that we are immune to pain or hardship. It means that we have the ability to endure and emerge stronger from those experiences. It's about accepting that challenges are a part of life and that they don't have to define us. When we face adversity, we are given the opportunity to test our limits, to grow, and to develop new ways of thinking and being. Resilience allows us to adapt to changing circumstances, to persevere when things are tough, and to find hope even in the darkest of times. One of the key components of resilience is mental toughness. It's the ability to maintain focus and clarity of thought even when things are difficult. Mental toughness allows us to keep going even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. It's about maintaining a sense of calm in the midst of chaos and staying grounded when we feel like we're being swept away by the tide. Mental toughness doesn't mean that we don't experience stress or anxiety. It means that we are able to manage those emotions and continue to move forward despite them. It's the inner strength that tells us, I can handle this. I will not let this break me. Resilience also requires a positive mindset. It's about being able to see the opportunity in every challenge, the lesson in every setback. When we approach life with a resilient mindset, we are able to view difficulties as temporary and solvable. We don't let ourselves be consumed by negativity or self-doubt. Instead, we focus on what we can control and we take action. A resilient mindset is one that encourages optimism, even in the face of adversity. It's about finding strength in the struggle and believing that things will get better no matter how difficult they seem in the moment. Another crucial aspect of resilience is the ability to seek support when needed. Resilience doesn't mean doing everything on your own. It means recognizing when you need help and being willing to ask for it. Whether it's reaching out to a friend, family member, or professional, asking for support is an important part of building resilience. It takes strength to admit that we need help, but it also shows a willingness to learn from others, to grow, and to understand that we don't have to carry our burdens alone. In fact, leaning on others can be one of the greatest sources of strength when we are going through tough times. Resilience is also about adaptability. The ability to adapt to changing circumstances is crucial in today's fast-paced, ever-evolving world. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and sometimes the unexpected happens. Resilient people are able to adjust their strategies, to find new ways of doing things, and to continue moving forward despite the obstacles in their way. It's about being flexible and open to change and not getting stuck in the past. Adaptability allows us to embrace the uncertainty of life and trust that we will find a way through it. At its core, resilience is about persistence. It's about refusing to give up no matter how many times we face setbacks. It's about continuing to push forward even when the road is long and difficult. Resilience is what keeps us going when everything else seems to be telling us to quit. It's the voice inside us that says, keep going, you are stronger than you think. Every time we push through a difficult situation, we become more resilient. Each challenge, each setback is an opportunity to build more strength and endurance for the next hurdle that comes our way. Ultimately, resilience is not just about surviving tough times. It's about thriving in spite of them. It's about finding meaning in the struggle and using it as fuel to propel us forward. Resilience allows us to transform adversity into growth, to turn pain into purpose, and to become better versions of ourselves through the process. It's the key to enduring life's storms and emerging from them stronger, wiser, and more capable of facing whatever comes next. Intentionality is the practice of living with purpose and direction. It is the act of making deliberate choices rather than letting life pass by without thought or effort. When we live intentionally, we are not simply reacting to the world around us. We are actively shaping our reality by consciously deciding how to spend our time, energy, and focus. This is not just about having goals or aspirations, but about aligning every action with a deeper sense of of meaning and value. It means recognizing that our choices matter, that every decision we make is an opportunity to move closer to who we want to be and where we want to go. Living intentionally requires us to be aware of our habits, our behaviors, and the patterns that shape our daily lives. It's easy to fall into a routine of doing things automatically without giving much thought to why we do them or whether they align with our goals. But intentional living challenges us to question these actions. It asks us to reflect on whether our daily habits are truly serving us or simply filling up time without purpose. By examining our routines and making intentional choices, we can create a life that reflects our values and priorities rather than one dictated by circumstances or external pressures. Intentionality also involves making choices based on what is most important to us, not what others expect or what is easiest. The world is full of distractions, pressures, and opinions that often try to lead us in a direction that is not our own. We live in a society that constantly pushes us to achieve more, be more, and do more. But living intentionally means stepping away from these outside influences and tuning into our own inner compass. It's about recognizing that our time is limited and therefore we must be mindful of how we spend it. Instead of being pulled in many directions, we choose to focus on what truly matters and align our actions with our deepest desires. Intentionality is also about being proactive rather than reactive. So often we wait for things to happen to us before we take action. We wait for the right moment or hope that circumstances will magically align to make things easier. But living intentionally requires us to take the initiative and create the opportunity we want in our lives. It means setting clear goals and taking consistent steps toward them, even when the path is not always clear. Intentional living is about being in control of our actions and not letting life happen to us. Instead of waiting for the perfect time, we make today the right time to begin. One of the most important aspects of intentionality is making conscious decisions about how we use our time. Time is one of our most valuable resources, and once it's gone, we can never get it back. Yet many of us spend our time without much thought or intention, letting days slip away without truly making the most of them. Living intentionally requires us to be mindful of how we spend our time, to prioritize the things that matter most, and to let go of the things that drain us. It means saying no to distractions and yes to activities that bring us closer to our goals. By being intentional with our time, we create a life that is aligned with our purpose and value. Intentionality also requires us to be self-aware. It's about knowing who we are, what we want, and what we need to do to get there. Without self-awareness, we risk making decisions based on fleeting desires or external pressures instead of our own true needs and aspirations. By taking the time to reflect on our lives, we can gain clarity about what matters most to us and make choices that reflect our authentic self. This self-awareness is the foundation of intentional living because it gives us the clarity to make informed decisions and set meaningful goals. Furthermore, intentional living is about maintaining focus and discipline. It's easy to get distracted by the chaos of life, to become overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tasks and responsibilities that demand our attention. But when we live intentionally, we learn to focus on the most important things and let go of the unnecessary noise. This requires discipline. The ability to stay focused on our goals, to resist the temptation of distractions, and to keep moving forward even when things get difficult. Discipline is the muscle that supports intentionality, helping us stay committed to our path and ensuring that our actions consistently reflect our intentions. Intentionality is not about perfection, but about progress. It's about striving to live in alignment with our values, making thoughtful choices, and learning from our mistakes along the way. It's about living a life that is not dictated by chance, but by design. When we live with intention, we take full ownership of our lives, shaping them in ways that reflect who we truly are and what we truly want. It is a way of living that empowers us to create the life we desire, one deliberate choice at a time.